guys, and welcome to episode 2 of, I guess, like my author diaries, but yeah, my journey of writing my 4th book that I've invited you guys on. So last week you guys watched me organize my office, which was like a huge weight off my shoulder because it had been on my to-do list for so long. And now this week you get to watch like a little bit of marketing stuff and then organizing my notes, and then we're jumping into chapter 1 of the 4th book of the Agent Bennet Saga. I'm like a little apprehensive to start writing this book because it's the last time that I'll be writing Bennet's story. And Bennet has been with me, I think, for seven years now. His first book came out in 2021. His first book came out in 2021, but he had been with me for so long before that. That's just gonna be really hard to write the first chapter for the last time, and heck, write all of the chapters for the last time. I kind of don't want to write it because if I don't write it, his story can just continue. But I know this is where it ends. And so you guys get to come and watch the emotional journey of that and the ups and downs of writing your book and editing and publishing and marketing. There's definitely a lot of ups and downs, so let's jump into it. I was gonna stop talking on here and actually eat my lunch, but then I saw something on my laptop because I'm trying to organize it as well. Like I organize my office. I'm running out of space, and so I need to delete stuff. I have so much stuff from book 1 and book 2 that are just incredibly irrelevant. So I'm going through book 1 stuff first, the field agent. And when I first started writing it, okay, do not do this. When I first started writing this book, I did each chapter as individual documents because I thought it would be easier to go back and be like, oh, well, then I can just click on document 1, chapter 1, and read that and edit that, and then I can work everything separately. But then it came time to combining all of them together, and that was a nightmare. So I had no prior training on how to write a book, how to do anything. I was just trying to figure it out by myself, and like I'll also keep this, like, it was very personal to me, so I kept it a huge secret that I was actually writing this. And so I just didn't know that this is something you don't do. So if you're a first-time writer, do not do individual documents for each chapter, because when it comes time to actually put them all into one document, you're gonna be hating yourself so much. Don't do it. I mean, you can do it and you might not hate yourself, but I'm never doing that again. I mentioned earlier that I have to get back to my publishing specialist, Carly, and what I'm supposed to be doing for her is the designer just finished tweaking a couple things in the layout of the book, so like what it actually looks like when we print it. We found a couple things that we just wanted to change, and now I just need to go back and approve the changes, and then that's it. I sign off on it, and then it gets sent to reviewing companies. There's 2 reviewing companies that we send it to, and that takes about a month at least for them to go through it, and then they send us quotes back, and those quotes end up in the book, and then we head off to publishing. That's kind of the exciting thing that I get to do right now. I don't like signing off on it because it feels so official, like that's it, no more changes, like little cutthroat, but I can do this. I can do this. I sneezed and now it's the next day. Clearly I was procrastinating, but that's fine. I got like stuff done. I can't remember what I said yesterday, but I emailed a bookstore called Books and Shenanigans that's on Victoria Island. Also I didn't email Books and Shenanigans. I have to go in person, and I'm going next weekend to the island, so I'm prepared everything to go in person to go visit them. And then I emailed Russell Books, which is on the island, and emailed them, and I'll also stop in person. So I have 3 bookstores when I'm on the island, not this weekend, but next weekend, so you'll see it in the next vlog. Yeah, so I have Russell Books, Books and Shenanigans, and Monroe Books to all pop into, and who knows, if you guys are from Victoria and you pester them to bring in my books, maybe they'll bring them in. We'll see, but maybe they'll like me and they'll bring them in because they like me as well. So I still need to be organizing my notes, which I have a feeling will just end up being like Saturday for me, which is fine. Saturday just might be a really long day, but I'm like very determined Saturday. Like I'm not allowed to go to bed until all of my notes are organized and I have one chapter written. I don't care if it's chapter 1 or chapter 2, I have one chapter written. But I got an email back from my publishing specialist, which I just emailed her yesterday, so she made good timing. And now I have to go through and do some listing stuff and other things in order to move on to the next steps. And I really don't want to talk about that stuff right now because I'm just like, I want to avoid this, but I'm gonna get it done tonight. But I kind of figured while I'm doing that, I can tell you about other things to distract me. So one thing that I thought about that I can tell you guys is my most embarrassing author interactions. So I'm just gonna call them author interactions as like a broad overview, but they all like obviously involve me. What you need to know about me is I am embarrassing and awkward, and probably not all of my friends would agree with that, but I every so often, like, those two traits that are buried within me really shine through. And so like I was the type of person in high school, like I really struggled talking to boys, or as you'll see through the story progresses, people who are attractive. So like it starts off like when I was 16, like I was the type of person, like, you know, when you're watching movies and someone is so attractive that the main character can't even like talk or say anything, that was me. So I remember meeting this boy, I worked at a summer camp, and he was so good looking to the point where he talked to me and all that came out of my mouth was and I couldn't say anything, so I just left because the conversation wasn't gonna happen. Funny enough, that is the exact same thing I said years later when I was in San Diego and I saw a cockroach for the first time. So I don't really know what that says about me. But anyways, one of my author-ish interactions was I was at my friend's, oh my gosh, she's gonna be upset if I don't get what this is called correctly. But oh man. Anyways, it's like he's a poet and he was doing a show, but it was like a special, and it was like an hour-long special of his poetry, and it was really cool, and it was in person. Anyways, I remember like turning around and looking over my shoulder and seeing like a booktuber that I follow and really like sitting right behind me, and I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this person is right behind me. I love following their stuff. Keep in mind, they are also very good looking. And I'm like, oh, like, you can do this. You can muster the courage to actually like talk to this person. You're an adult. And so I turn around and I black out having a conversation with this person. And at the end of it, all I hear myself saying is, wow, you like photography? Photography is pretty cool, but I don't know how to take photos. And I just like came back into my person of like, I'm pretty sure we talked for like 10 minutes and I have no idea what I just said, but I know I embarrassed the heck out of myself. We have never interacted since, and that is very okay because I don't know if I would be able to have an intellectual conversation with this person ever, because some people are just so good looking that it is rather distracting. And you say stuff like, wow, photography is cool. Don't do that. That was probably like my second most embarrassing like author moment interaction. I'll say my third because my first one is like pretty embarrassing, and I'm like, I hope I never actually meet this person, even though if I met this person, it'd probably be like interaction 2 where I black out, spew a bunch of stuff, and then when I come back into my person, I'm aware of saying something really stupid like, wow, Lord of the Rings is so cool, and like, yes, I love Lord of the Rings. And in context, when you find out who this author is that I'm talking about, that one will make sense. But interaction 3, I'm in grade 12 and I go to Cassandra Clare's book signing. I woke up early, I got in line, and I managed to get a copy of her book. I think it was like the first 500 people were able to go to the book signing the following week. And so I managed to do that. And so now I have the book and I'm waiting in line to get it signed. And I'm like going through my head of all the things I can say to this person. Keep in mind, in grade 12, I had no idea I wanted to write books or be an author. But that doesn't matter because when you're meeting an author, you have the opportunity to like say, wow, I really enjoy your work. I love your characters, like, or just ask a really quick question. What do? I'm silent. I say literally nothing. I walk up the stairs. I put the book down on the counter for her to sign. She says, "Hi, it's nice to meet you." I nod. She signs my book, hands it to me like she's waiting for me to say something. I take my book and leave. I think I'm smiling the whole time because I think my mom took a picture, but I said nothing to this author. So if I ever meet Cassandra Clare, I will try and redeem myself and actually say something to her. But my first and most embarrassing author interaction is when I was publishing my books and I was told I had to create an Instagram presence. I started following all these authors, and let me tell you, before becoming an author on social media, I wasn't on social media. Like, I was there, but I didn't interact. I followed my friends and that's it. So I really didn't know what the etiquette was on social media. And I didn't know what other authors normally went through. Anyways, I followed this one author who I'd really admire, Victoria Aveyard. I actually never know if I say her last name correctly, but anyways, I followed her. I was really excited because she put out really great content and it was really fun to follow her. And then all of a sudden she posted a story about how she got kind of like this hate comment. And at that time, I didn't know that was normal. I thought it was weird. I'm like, why would someone give you a hate comment? This is bizarre to me. I was so naive. And so I sent her this long message about what an incredible person she is and blah, blah, blah. And it's an embarrassingly long message to the point where I can never interact with her on social media ever again, because I came to realize that every author, practically any person on social media who puts themselves out there, deals with this this negative stuff online quite often. And they don't need nobodies like me telling them not to listen and how great they are with embarrassingly long paragraphs of how great they are. So I will never meet Victoria Aveyard because, again, I will meet her, black out, have this weird conversation with her, and as I'm coming to, I will just spit out, "Lord of the Rings is cool," and that's it. So those are my top 3 most embarrassing author interactions. Cassandra Clare, booktuber who will not be named in case I ever run into her again, and Victoria Aveyard. I think what you can gather from me from that little story anecdotes is that I am not very good at communicating, especially with people that are hold above me or admire. Let's say admire. Yeah. Now I should probably stop ignoring Carly and answer her email. Do you remember in my last week vlog how I organized my office and I'm like, guys, now I'm ready to work. Here we go, let's do this. And then it's also funny because if you follow me on TikTok, there was a funny video that I posted probably 2 or 3 weeks ago about how me and my dad had a conversation where I wanted another bookshelf and he told me to stop buying books. I told my dad I needed a new bookshelf because I was running out of book space and he told me to stop buying books. That wasn't an option, Dad. We found a compromise. And the compromise is I'm getting a new office. So this is where I'm currently am, in the little furnace room, board game room, and now we're moving. We're still moving. And this is gonna be my new office, and I got bookshelves, which is pretty cool. This is my dad's office right now, and the thought behind it was I'm in my office pretty much every single day of the week, almost. And he doesn't use his office as much as he used to. So he's kind of like, well, why don't I just give you my office? I use your office for the 5 minutes a week I do paperwork. And then you can have 2 bookshelves. And I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. So to continue my procrastination of not starting writing my 4th book, it's move-in day. I think the best part of the move is I have a window that looks at nature. I need to clean the outside of it, but it's still kind of really pretty as opposed to the other window that looked at my neighbor's house. I'll give a bit of an explanation of my new office. I've mostly moved in. Obviously, my Pinterest board for walls is going to take the longest to move over, and we've kind of agreed that I can have a bit more time to move that stuff over. But when you first walk through the door, like, see if you can kind of follow me. So I got some bookshelves. They're wall to ceiling. No, floor to ceiling. Let's say floor to ceiling. So I'll slowly be filling these. So like every time I have a video, you guys kind of get to see how my office, I guess, expands a bit more with like stuff on the wall for my Pinterest boards, with my bookshelves growing. I'm hoping the wine crates aren't always on the shelf, but I had to compromise a little bit because as you guys will see, it doesn't look like that big of a space, but I've gained so much space. So like as I keep turning, I all of a sudden have this ginormous desk to work with. And then I kept my actual desk. So this is my typewriter space, my more like journaling space. And like, that's just kind of like, I know that is such a big thing that I can have multiple spaces to work. Like, that's insane. There's a bit of a back hallway here that leads to a door. That's obviously the wine rack. These are some book boxes that you guys saw in the last video. And then this is a little bit sad. This is the word wall that you guys saw in the last video, and it had to come down a lot. So that will be kind of a long-term project, and I'm hoping there's two places. Actually, no, there's one place that I think it will go, but we'll see what happens. It might go above my monitor, or it might go if I keep turning. There's actually another workstation here, so I'm kind of thinking it'll go here, but we'll see. But the fact that I have 3 desks and 3 like big desks, like the fact that I can spread out with all of my notes, because I love having like actual physical paper notes and not it all on my laptop, is such a huge thing. So yeah, this is so awesome, and I'm excited to see you. I'm excited that you guys get to see me work in this space. I've put it off. I told myself I would start working at noon on my 4th book, and that hasn't happened. And it's like, I think it's pretty much 5 o'clock. So we're gonna see what happens with the rest of the day. The Agent Bennet Saga consists of 40 chapters in each book. So the first book has 40 chapters, the second book has 40 chapters, the third one, and the 4th one is also gonna have 40 chapters. So to keep that rhythm going, what I like to do to help map out my book is I write numbers on pieces of paper. You can't really read that because it's in sparkly purple highlighter. So I actually, on this desk, I'm mapping out I'm writing 1 to 40 on pieces of paper. And so I can write the overall idea of what happens in that chapter. But then I have on a table out there actually a bunch of notes of like either dialogue prompts or thoughts that Bennett has, or different ideas that are gonna happen in the 4th book. And I can slide those prompts then underneath each tile, piece of paper, chapter, whatever. And then when I'm working on that chapter, I'm able to pick up all of those pieces of paper, and I know that they're all organized for when everything happens. So I'm kind of, it's weird because I'm a bit of a planner when it comes to writing, but not so much as like, I'm a very slack planner. So I'm mostly a pantster, like riding on the seat of my pants when I write, because often things will happen. I'll be like, I don't really understand why I'm writing this. But I wrote it, and then later on I'll be like, oh, that's why I wrote that. That makes so much more sense now. Because like as I keep writing, things start to match up. So I'm a little bit of a planner with mostly pantser. Looks like one of the rhythms is that you're gonna get like the weekly wrap up as I'm going to get my horse and out on the ride. So that's fun for you guys. So I wrote chapter 1 last night, and it was really hard. And I think, as I was saying before in the week, just entering Bennett's story for the last time is not something I really want to do. He's been with me for so long, and so the idea that it's like, this is concluding, this is coming to an end, this is the end of an era for Bennett, and I have to accept that, and it's not easy. So chapter 1 was really tricky to write. I always knew how the 4th book was going to start. So it was easy to sit down and be like, I know which characters are in this scene, and I know what happens at the end of this chapter, but I don't want to write it because it's the start of the end. I probably didn't do the best job of explaining my writing process yesterday, but basically what you can conclude from what you saw with my whole like 1 to 40 chapters, and like I'm a bit of a planner but also mostly a pantser, is that it's just chaotic. It's just a chaotic process with me and Bennett and Colin just running around in my head trying to figure out where are they going and who needs to meet when. Chapter 2 and 3 are mostly mapped out in my head. You're probably watching this being like, I don't understand any of your writing advice. And I think mostly it's just write how it works best for you. You have so many people out there spewing that their way, like, take my course, this is the right way to write. And basically I just want to invite you guys along on how I write. And frankly, every time I write a book, it's completely different. I've explained this so many times, but when I wrote the first book, it was like a hidden secret, and it was for me. And now that I'm writing the fourth book, it's familiar and it's comfortable. Well, as comfortable it can be, like writing Bennett's story for the last time. On a completely separate note, if you're interested at all in reading the first trade is the second book, The Field Agent, I'm going to be sending out the first 3 chapters in my newsletter very soon, so I highly recommend going to my website, rs12s.com, and at the bottom of my main page you can sign up for my newsletter, and then once you get the first 3 chapters you can unsubscribe if you want, I guess, but I wouldn't recommend that until later, because I also know I'm giving out the first 6 chapters of The First Trader later on, and then after The Fallen Within, the 3rd book in the series, is out, we'll be releasing the first 3 chapters for that as well in my newsletter. I think that's kind of it for me for this video. Mostly it was just my embarrassing story. Here's how I start my book. It's a little chaotic, and next week you'll get to see a bit more of my writing process, and I'll probably share, I don't know, some other story from my life that is embarrassing and awkward and shows how obnoxious I can be. Yeah, if you've made it this far, please subscribe and like this video. Leave a comment if there's something you want me to expand on, if there's something you really like. Maple says goodbye, and thanks for watching. Have a great week, guys.